I guess you've never seen our faces before, so this voice belongs
reveal.
to... This voice belongs to Nicole.
And this voice belongs to Emma.
And we're here with a very special guest.
Hey, I'm Moss. Happy to be here.
Just
this
Moss.
Is great. Oh, sorry, I have a Moss Perricone.
Just Moss.
No, we've been chatting for so long. I'm
No,
in like
that's
casual
my homie.
conversation.
That's my homie. That's just
Yeah.
Moss.
Do you want to introduce yourself a bit? Tell us
Yeah, Moss.
why we brought you to this basement.
I'm Moss Perricone. I'm a writer on SNL, and yeah, as I used to go to NYU, and now I'm back. It's funny when you graduate and you still live in New York, because it's like you kind of feel like you've never left college. Like
That's
I walk
true.
through this campus constantly.
I mean, yes, because NYU doesn't have
Wow.
a campus. The city is
Yeah.
our campus.
That must be
Like,
trippy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is. But I still feel like this is because it's the first place I ever lived in New York. This feels like the center of the city to me. So like, I feel like I need to show up here sometimes.
Yeah.
Like,
Show face.
yeah.
No, you gotta pay your dues.
Totally.
Like, gotta pay your dues.
And I feel bad when I walk through and I don't recognize anyone, but I'm like, of course I don't recognize anyone. It's been so many
Right.
years.
This is your first season as a
Yeah.
writer on SNL. How has it been going? How's this new state of employment been treating you?
You know, it's I will say it would be crazy if I said good. I don't think anyone would answer good to that question. It's been ups and downs, you know, some good times and some bad times. I would say the highs are high and infrequent, and the lows are more frequent and pretty low.
Can we hear about one of those infrequent highs?
Oh God! Anything I say, maybe I've never even had one. Now that I think about it, they're so small, they're so little.
Oh,
There have been a couple of things on the show that I've been happy about.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the show I love, and I think it's
Yeah.
always great.
No,
but-
we love SNL. We love Saturday Night. It's a great show. Yeah, like, we love you guys.
I mean, there's things that there's a thing or two that I've had on the show that I feel good about. Everyone else is amazing, and
Solid.
it's all great.
Yeah.
So it's more like your own work that
Yeah.
okay.
To get something on and have it go well surprisingly is a really good feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it can happen infrequently enough where you forget what that feels like, and then or you don't know what it feels like, and then it happens, and you're like, oh God, this is worth it.
Yeah. So how's like the process of like writing nights been? Because I know that's got to be like a very, very stressful process.
Yeah, it's been interesting. I wrote on a couple of shows before this, and I don't know. I'm someone who writes. I write well in the mornings. I wake up early and I write until like noon. That's what I've always done.
Yeah.
It's always been fine for me. And so I think switching that to now just write in the middle of the night has been a steep learning curve.
That's something, because it's like a lot of times, like when I'm meeting for like my sketch group,
Yeah.
and it's like we come in and write, it's like 8 p.m. at night,
Yeah.
and my brain is off.
Totally, yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like, I feel like I have nothing and I can contribute nothing.
Yeah.
Well, I've recently discovered that I'm a way better writer in the morning because now I'm part of this like variety show and I have to write comedy at like 9 a.m. and I'm like, some of this is like more solid than anything else I've ever written.
Yeah, I
Like-
believe, and this is, I mean, people will disagree with me. People think they write good at night or in the afternoon. I think everyone writes the best in the morning, and if you don't think that, you've never tried it or you didn't try it.
No,
But I
like-
think everyone writes good in the morning.
Literally don't
'Cause I
knock
feel
until
like
you try it.
you're
I love
least-
it.
You're least affected by the day.
Yeah, you're
Like,
fresh.
you're fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then if you like
slate.
start your day writing comedy, then the rest of the day will be filled with joy and whimsy. Like
Well,
That's
if you
a-
do,
yeah.
if you get something good in the morning, then you're like, nothing can
Nothing
bother
can
you
stop
the rest
me.
of the day.
And
Yeah,
if you
literally.
can't get anything in the morning, you're like, well, I have the whole day ahead
Yeah.
of me. Did you know that you wanted to do comedy like from the get-go?
Yeah, I knew I wanted to do comedy, but I had very tempered expectations for how they would go. So I was very much like, when I was in school, everyone had a lot of like big dreams, and I was like, I swear to God, if I could just get paid to write, I would be happy.
Yeah.
And then that happens, then you're like, wait, no, this was not enough. I should have asked for more. That's
Yeah.
and then I feel like everything you do, you're like, oh God, no, actually, I want to do the thing that's a little bit higher than this. I got really lucky after I started writing for this show on Netflix called Patriot Act. It was Hassan Minaj's old show. After I graduated, and that was my first job out of college, like first job working. And writing there was like such a good education because it was just like, I don't know, it was a really fun room. It was a fun show. It went on for like 2 years. So it was like the perfect amount of time where it's like, you know, you get on a show like that and you can get complacent and end up being there forever. It was great. It was 2 years. It was a perfect amount of time to like learn some stuff, kind of get your bearings, and then be kind of thrown out, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that, I went after graduation, I was doing that, and then I bounced around between some other shows, and I had worked in narrative TV for like, I guess probably like 7 years, and just kind of thought that's what I would be doing forever. Like doing that and doing movies was kind of like, I was like, this is great. This is what I wanted, and this is, I feel like it's going well, and like moving up. And then SNL came up, which was totally a zigzag. But it's one of those things where it's like, oh, you know, I admittedly I didn't know anything about sketch comedy. I'd never really written sketches.
Oh, that's interesting.
I think the first sketches I like earnestly wrote were for the packet.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where it's just like, no matter what your dream is or what you want to do, it's like to be there would be so. I was like, this would be so exciting and fun, and like, I don't know. I guess
Did you ever think you were gonna work on SNL? I mean, did that ever like cross your mind before?
I think when I was like 23 or 24, I was like, I was like, this would be really cool, and I had like showcased a couple times, but I hadn't really gotten close, and I don't know. I just like I had kind of gotten to a point where I was like, people will shoot me for saying this, and I know this is wrong, and I know I'm 29 now. I know that's not old, and like whenever you say you feel old, it's like someone who's like in their 30s will be like, I'm gonna kill you. So I know I'm not old, but I do think, in my mind, I was like, I do feel like I am out of the point in my life where I want to be up all night and like going to these parties and like, I don't know, doing all that stuff. Like I was like, I feel like I'm kind of aging out of that. And it's funny to now be thrown back into that. And I'm like, I would be so much better at this if I was like 23, 24, wasn't as tired. Like, I don't know. Like, it's the same thing everyone says, where it's like your hangovers are worse. And like,
Did you do stand-up like while you were at NYU? Or
I did, yeah.
Okay.
I think I did my first open mic maybe like during Welcome Week.
You got right in there.
Wow.
Well, we were doing colloquium in dramatic writing, and me and my friend both like had a good. I remember the first colloquium went really well. Like I had like this little monologue thing that like played well, and my friend was like, "We should try stand up," and I was like, "We should totally try stand up." And so we went that night.
Do you remember what your first like where you went for your first?
Yeah,
night?
we went to the. I think it is rebranded and it's called the Comedy Shop now, but it used to be called the Village Lantern.
In Manhattan.
It's right here, yeah.
Oh my god, they hate me there.
No,
well,
really?
They don't. Okay, I did like cause me and my roommate go to Mike's, and we usually go to Brooklyn.
Where do you go?
Like Pine Box.
I love Pine Box.
The first mic we did was at this bar called Hall Yards.
I know it very well.
And it was like their Friday mic, like it's all cat themed, and we were like maybe not.
Yeah.
But usually we do Pine Box like Tiny Cupboard.
Oh, interesting.
But then we were like, we're so tired of taking the 30-minute train, so we're like, we're gonna try Comedy Shop. It's right here, and you get a free food item or drink with your mic. So like Pavlov's dog, we were like, we're getting fries every time we mic, and we were doing really well. Kind of been falling off recently. We're like, we need to switch it up. But that's crazy. Yeah, it's Comedy Shop now. But...
I do love those 6 p.m. Monday, Tuesday Pine Box mics.
Yeah, you're there for a while.
You're there for
Yeah.
I went over to the Village Lantern, and I was so nervous on stage, and I would get so drunk. I would drink a 40 before every time I went up at a mic, which is like so stupid, and like
classic. I
would have them I remember I would buy them from Space Market, and I would put them in my messenger bag and like drink it on the way to the mic. I remember one time I was getting on the train and I bumped into the wall and it broke in my bag and I filled my bag up with malt liquor.
Oh,
and
wow.
I was like, that was like such a wake up call of like, this is not sustainable.
Wow.
That's crazy. That was your first thought. My first thought would be like, I need to drink this from my bag immediately.
Yeah.
Like, I need to find a way to get this into my mouth.
That's the problem solved.
No, I was going to say, like, that might be an issue. I need to work on.
Yeah. What was like the craziest... Or, like, who was, like, the craziest, like, celebrity that you met at
let's talk season 50.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
This is so lame. I knew this would happen. Me and Ali Levitan, who's another writer on the show, we had a drink before the show at a bar nearby, and she was like, I'm not going to drink too much because I want to remember tonight. And I was like, that's not going to be a problem. And now I'm like, I have so few memories from that night.
You were in one of the cold opens.
Oh, I was in the monologue. Yeah.
I like that you said that as if, the monologue,
yeah.
as if you were just now remembering that happened.
Fully blocked it out.
What was that experience? And like, were you part of pitching that, or were they just Moss would be great for this?
I will say that no one told me I was going to be in that. No one to this day, I don't think anyone's told me that I was going to be in that. I saw, because I had a sketch that week, and so it was in the control room in the booth during rehearsal.
Wait, what sketch?
I did the coffee shop one where he's a barista and he's doing like Def Jam comedy.
We quoted that for weeks.
Yeah.
Wait,
We quoted that for weeks.
But so I was in the booth when they were rehearsing that on like Thursday night or maybe Friday night, and one of the people in the booth was like, "Hey, you're in the monologue," and I was like, "Oh, I wonder who he thinks I am. I bet he's confused me with somebody." And then I was like, I should just look just to be sure, and so I had someone give me the script, and I was in it, and I was like, all right, I guess I'll just wait for someone to tell me about this. And nobody did, and it was rehearsing at like 11 p.m. that night, and I was like, well, I better not go home, because what if this is real? And so I just hung out, and then I sat down in my seat and just performed what was in the script, and I was like, all right, I guess this is just happening.
That's maybe the most really nonchalant story I've ever heard. Like, you find out that you're like on, like you're gonna be on camera, and you're like, oh, like okay, sure.
I literally, until we started rehearsing it, I was like, this is a joke or like a mistake.
Wow. And no one,
think the same, honestly.
Even afterwards, we're like, oh, you like figured it out. They just.
No, they were just like, oh yeah, they just like as if I had already known. It was the weirdest thing.
It's like the SNL like Neuralink. Like
yeah, like
why not? I guess.
I know. I was checking my texts and emails. I'm like, surely someone would have told me about this.
Yeah, it seems important, but no, it's okay. Like,
but
it's fine.
And then it was really stressful. I mean, it was a lot of fun, but and I was so happy to do it, and I was so nervous. But
did you tell like your family and friends that you, or was it just
on the TV now?
Like...
I think I did, but I didn't want to because I was like, this is for sure they're gonna pull me out of this. They're gonna cut me. I'm not good at this. And like, I remember doing it at this was really scary. I did it at dress rehearsal, and I went up to the writers after. I'm like, should I do anything? Like, is that? And they're like, oh, you can't wear a suit. You look crazy in a suit. You look like an obvious plant because no one is wearing a suit. And so they're like, go talk to wardrobe and get clothes. But I was working on my sketch, and so I'm like, and I had gotten notes from Lauren after dress, so I'm like trying to rewrite the end of the sketch while they're fitting me for new clothes.
Oh, wow.
And then I took all my clothes off to change, and then an assistant came and was like, you need to go upstairs and talk to the producers about this sketch. And so I had to put my suit back on. I was changing constantly. It was so stressful.
Is
it really
suit attire?
Oh, on Saturdays, all the writers and everyone wears suits.
That's so fun.
It's the best part of the job. It's so fun.
NYU Stern class.
It's such a blast. I have always had like one or two suits for like weddings and stuff, but like I cannot stop. I'm also really bad with money. I cannot stop buying suits.
Your addiction to suit
I'm like, I do not want to wear the same suit twice, which is so stupid and not a rule.
Have you seen New Girl?
No.
Have you seen How I Met Your Mother?
Yeah.
Barney Stinson.
Oh,
yeah. I was gonna say Schmidt.
Okay. I have this question actually, like, for a while, but how did you, like, find out that you got the position? Like, I feel like that's just, like, insane news to receive. Like, how do you find...
The position.
The position.
Like, the role.
The
role.
It's really fun, because normally when you get a job like this, your agents tell you, but they make a point of telling you. So you get a call from... I've never gotten clarity on this, and I don't know anything about how it works. I assume, because people have gotten calls from different people, I assume that it's somebody who I don't know, there's some, I imagine it's, I don't know, maybe it's random, but it's different people make the calls for different people. I got a call from one of the head writers, and it was really, it was a good day.
I'm sure it was.
I had a crazy thing where I had gotten hired on this show a week before that writes in LA, and so I was kind of preparing to move to LA.
Charlie Rubin has a similar story with Seinfeld actually in SNL.
Oh, really?
Yeah, same thing happened to him.
Yeah,
he only worked on SNL for 2 weeks, because then right after he got the offer for Seinfeld.
Whoa!
So,
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, but
wow. I had the opposite thing where I was gonna go work on the show, and then I was gonna move on the Friday. I interviewed for SNL on Wednesday, and I felt like all right about the interview. I was like, I feel like this could maybe happen.
What's the interview like? That's terrifying.
It's like, I don't know. People have different experiences. I thought it was like chill to the point where I'm like, I feel like they're fucking with me. Like, this is too like.
I feel like you think that a lot.
But yeah, it was really stressful because I got out of the interview and I called my agents and I was like, they were like, so this show in LA, Netflix needs to know like now if you're gonna do it or not. And I was like, so what is do we have a vibe from SNL? And they're like, SNL won't tell us anything, and they're not gonna speed this up.
Oh my god.
And so it basically became a thing where it's like, you need to either take this job and forget about SNL, or reject this job so they can staff it with somebody else because the room starts on Monday, which I totally understand. Everyone's position was like reasonable except for mine being like, well, they should wait for me. I was like, they
that's like my worst nightmare, is the most indecisive person on the planet.
Yeah.
No,
like,
same.
wow.
I was also like, I mean, there's not really a choice here. It's like you gotta take the shot at SNL. And so I gave it up, and then they're like, okay, you'll hear about SNL on Friday, and then I didn't hear anything. And so over the weekend I was like, I took a bet and I lost the bet. Oh, no. And then they called me, the head writer called me like Monday evening. And he was really cool about it. And he was like, wait, do you have another job? And I was like, no, I really don't.
No, let me, I'm free. Unemployed. What's the best piece of advice that you've gotten specifically from like the department, and also what's the most like terrible and like useless?
And you could take your time to think.
It also could be like NYU question. In general, like college era in general.
Yeah, I mean, not to be like mean to the department.
It's okay.
We're never getting Charlie.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if anything over those 4 years was helpful in the slightest. Not in a mean way, like truly, like I'm sure it's great for other people. I don't know. I didn't enjoy my time there. I got a lot of good advice, I feel like, outside of that.
Yeah. Were you in, like, clubs at NYU?
I did the stand-up group.
Like Astor,
Yeah.
And that was fun. I mean, the college, it's so fun, and it's, like, it's such a good place to, like, you know, get used to New York and work stuff out and, like, do stuff, like, it's like, it's a good thing to get you in New York so you can do stuff outside of college.
That's a good point.
I feel like everything within college felt insulated, and like I think the people who put too much stock in that graduated and realized they had nothing. And I feel like it really can kind of set people back a little bit.
For sure.
Too insulated.
Yeah, because I mean,
so
there's
all your advice is.
Because like there is a line between like gaining experience, but also like getting yourself into the industry, you know? Because like you can't just have experience in school and then you know?
Totally.
Yeah.
It's not something I can distill into like a discrete piece of advice, and maybe this is why this is so helpful. But I had a friend who I work with a lot, my friend Rachel, who I feel like taught me how to like work hard and like how to actually, I don't know, a lot of people think they're doing something and they don't realize that they're not. And I think I was like that, where I was like, I feel like I'm doing something, but seeing the way she worked, I was like, oh, this is what it means to actually be, like, I would compare it to like I was maybe treading water and she was swimming in a way where I'm like, and I think when you don't see somebody actually working, it's hard to conceptualize what that is. But when you have it in front of you, it's just like, oh God, this is what I need to be doing. And I think that is like, and I think NYU, all 4 years of it were totally worth it just to meet her and see how she worked. I feel like that changed my life.
So I guess like follow-up question, I guess. Please. Do you think like your collaborators in school have like helped you motivate your way outside of school?
100%.
Because that's sort of where I'm at right now. Like I feel like everyone who I'm like collaborating with right now have like helped me self-motivate so much.
Yeah, and like I don't mean this in a way to dismiss NYU, because you can say like, as I would say, the only thing that's worth it is the people that you meet. But I do think that is so significant and so essential, and like just the key to everything, where it's like that's more than enough. That makes it totally worth it. Like I mean, even being at SNL now, I'm like, I work with so many people that I worked with here, and it's like my office is across from Ben, John, and Martin from Please Don't Destroy, and it's like those were some of my closest friends in school. Like it means a lot to be working with them again. I think stuff like that is very like makes the whole 4 years worth it. Yeah.
I guess as the pessimist in the room, how do you deal with imposter syndrome?
Yeah.
Oh,
or is that something you've never started with?
Like,
as a chill, nonchalant guy who thinks everything is a prank. He's never started
so that. Self-assured.
I think it's just something that like, I don't know, with any feeling of anxiety or something, it's like, you're gonna feel it, right? But it's like, are you gonna, and it's easier said than done.
Yeah.
I feel with things like that, it's like, yeah, of course you feel that way, but like, can you act as if you don't? I try to not manifest it physically in any way, but I feel it completely. But I try to not, and I get so anxious and I shake and all of that, but it's like when you do stand-up, when you're really nervous to go on, but like, you're gonna get up and do your set, and it's like, you're gonna do it, so it's like, as long as you don't manifest that in the real world in any way, as long as you don't not go on stage, like, oh, you know, the best piece of advice I got was from I was working as a bike delivery person for Caviar, and I had the food backpack and it broke, and I had to deliver an order, and I was like, I don't know what to do. I can't put this backpack on. I've got so much food in it. And it was the Super Bowl. And it's like, these people need their food. And so I went to a tailor. And I'm like, can you please just sew this up for me? But this tailor gave me a piece of advice that I think was really helpful. Where he was just like, it's such a line, but I think it's a good line where he's just like, and it's so earnest, but he was just like, do it afraid. And I'm like, oh, that's so true. I can be afraid, and I can still just do it afraid. It's like, it's not.
Wow.
And how afraid you are and how much of an imposter you feel like, it translates so little to what anyone else can see that as long as you don't emphasize it, no one will notice. Everyone's afraid.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah, it's like it really, you're talking about such minimal, marginal things that you think are very obvious to people, but they're not, you know.
Yeah.
So I guess just feel that way, but like do it. You'll be fine.
Wow. That's advice actually from a tailor.
Unless you're an actual imposter, in which case like that will be made clear to you.
Yeah. If you're an imposter, stop listening. This is for you.
Imposter is such a funny word for that because it like connotates such like cartoonish. Like,
right.
I know.
I just like think of like Among Us.
Imposter. I hardly know her.
Okay. I feel like that's a really positive way to end.
Yeah, I mean, is there like anything else you want to say to our many listeners? Yeah, promote anything.
To my father and your parents.
I've got nothing to plug. I mean, Saturday Night Live is on Saturdays. NBC.
If you never heard of it.
Yeah.
I was on a plane with somebody, and she was like, what are you doing? I was like, I write for the show. And she's like, what show? And I told her, and she was like, what is that? I was like, oh, is this? And she's like, when is it on? And I was like, oh, well, that's actually in the name.
That's part
of it. Basically, it's called Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Mondays at like 8 a.m.
Saturday,
like,
yeah,
that would make some sense, actually. So.
But yeah, no, I mean, this is so fun. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
I'll see you guys in the red room.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.